Okay, in this video session we're going to do a quick tutorial on the security setup within IBMS. To demonstrate that, it's best to run two sessions. That way you can see the effect of a user that doesn't have as much security rights compared to an admin. In this current session, T user has the full administrative access, meaning all the module and all the functions. So I'm going to go ahead and run another session. Now before I do that, let me find out who it is. And usually it's under tasks, system management, under maintain username and password. And I'm going to use Tim. In this case, you see Tim here has the access level of 50. Now, any user access level of non-zero, that's greater than 0, is an account that has restricted access. So if you see here, T is an admin because of 0. Yeah, test one is the one you set up, which is full access. T also has full access. Tim has limited access because it's non-zero. Just think of it that way, okay? That's a start. So any non-zero would be an account that has restricted access. The, yes, but in this case, that is true in the older version. But in the new version, anything that's non-zero is restricted. But you can refine the access via what we call a user profile. In the user profile, you can grant access to a specific task. You can say he's going to have access to customer lookup, and I can give him access to that. Or I can deny him access to customer lookup by either red or green. Okay? So green means he has access to customer lookup. If it's red, which is like most of these modules here, that means he has no access to any of the module that you see here. Like he has no access to what you want. Yeah. The number is not doesn't matter that much. It's really what's the color code, whether it's granted or not, access or no access. Okay, don't worry about too much about the number. Really, by default, you want us. We recommend that all non-admin user be set at 50 by default, and that's in our KB. The KB says, okay, if you're going to create a new account and that user is not an admin, it's automatically set to 50. That's all you need to remember. If the person is an admin, set to 0. That's it. That's in your mind. That's all you need to do to simplify it. When you need to fine tune what that user account has access to, then you go through here, the user profile, and decide which module to grant access or deny access. That's it. Based on this visual color cue, whether it's green or red. There's another one here called password require. And what it means by that is, if I set this module to yellow, what it means is that each time the person gets into it, he has to put the password in. Even the person already logged in once. It's more secure. And that is, for example, in the area of, let's say, in the shipping area, where it's more open, or in the financial area where you don't want the person to log in once, walk away from the desk, and someone can come along and start using that account to look up all the stuff. With the password required, even that person log in, if you try to click on that option, it's going to ask you for the password and log in and password again each time you try to access it. So it's more secure. Most of the time is that you have access, you don't. But for a more secure area, that's where the password required comes into place. You understand? Okay, so Tim, as you can see, is a user 50 level. Let me go back to that screen. So that means his account is restricted. He's not an admin user at all. So I know Tim right there. That's his account. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the second, another copy of. Huh? How do you set up? How do you set the password? You double click on it. You highlight the account. You double click on it, and this is where username, pass access level, either 0 or 50. There's no other number, non-zero. Enter password. Right now I'm going to set in Tim for password. Okay. Repeat the password again. TIM. This password expire. If I click on that, it's going to prompt to it's no good. You stop the account basically. Equivalent is good. Let me explain what I mean by that. Equivalent is when you create an account like accounting department account. Okay. And you set the equivalent to it. That means You only set the profile once, and all the user having that equivalent will assume to share that profile. So you don't have to go in and set the profile one user at a time. Let me demonstrate. Group of people under that, right? So I'm going to create a new account called production group. But production is not a real person, but it's a group. Floor, right? That's right. So production, right? And access level would be 50 because production doesn't have shouldn't have all access to all systems. So, and you can put a password in, and I'm going to say production, some secure password production. Okay. It is case sensitive. I'm going to just make it simple here. It's P P. No equivalent because this is production as a level. Oh. Did I mess that up badly? P. How can I miss? Yeah, I think it's 4. Uh, I see. Or maybe no password. I don't know. Oh, or maybe the keyboard isn't. Sometimes the keyboard, since it's not picking up all the. Sorry, it's not picking up. Okay, so it took it. Okay, and of course, production. The idea is that you set the profile for production once, and all the other users will follow under that without having to touch each and every person. Let's say you have 5 or 10 different individuals working in production. You don't want to touch each account and set up each account. Right. All you do is just say, okay, Tim, you're in production. You just say equivalent, let's say test, for example, or John, or Ann, for example. Ann, you're going to be in production. You go into Ann, you go down equivalent, production. Oops, sorry. And you're done. You don't even have to touch her profile. Right. And whatever production has access to, Ann will have. So production will have only job order. Yeah. That doesn't matter. That's right. That's, that's right. This is mine, right? So let me just pause this. Maybe stop this. It's a lot, right? That's a lot to understand. But once you see it, then it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. It makes sense. Okay, I'm going to go in. I'm going to run under, excuse me, S drive. Okay, I'm going to go run another session to demonstrate what does it mean to be to have an account, log in with an account that has limited access. Okay, so I'm going to go into Metfin v9. I'm going to run this. So right now I'm logging in as T, which is an admin user. That means I have complete access to all the modules. All modules. Now I'm going to go log in as Tim. Okay. And his password is Tim also. Or T. Oh, uppercase Tim. Sorry. Oh, no password. Why is it so secure? Okay. Now, take a look. When you log in as Tim, he doesn't have a whole lot. It's just only the modules available to him. That's what it means. Now, how do I control what's on here? Well, it's easy. I'll show you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go. You see how useful it is to have 2 sessions when you set up a user? Having 2 allows you to go back and forth to see right away what whether you grant the right setting, the right module, correct. So I'm going to go back to Tim. I'm going to go into user profile, and let's take a look. The reason why most of the modules are not visible under his profile is because they're under red. You see all red here. So let's say right now he has access to customer, job order, payable, and exit. Let's say I want to give him access to shipping. Okay, so I'm going to go scroll down to shipping. I'm going to go find the shipping module. It's called shipping menu right here. It's red, right? Shipping order. I'm going to grant him access to it. Now, he's of course he doesn't know until he logs back in again. So I'm going to say Tim, login Tim, and the password is 1 for now. It's easy enough. Oh, did I? Oh, there was an error. Sorry. Let me exit out first. Sorry about that. Okay, let me go back in. No, only the admin. As a matter of fact, he doesn't have option to get into it. So technically, no, until you become an admin. Until you become an admin, right? So we're gonna clean up this video, not include some of the stuff. Does you see now? See? Now, keep in mind, just because he has access to shipping order module menu doesn't mean he has any of these. You got it. None of these are available. Or maybe look up, but not doesn't mean he can get into it. Can't delete it. He says access denied. Doesn't mean he can add a new one either. Doesn't mean he can do any new stuff. So you have to give him specific action. Whether it's changing it, he doesn't have. He can look at it, but cannot change. Right. So depends on what kind of activity you want him to have access to. Maybe you can allow him to look up. Maybe he's a new person, a new trainee, and you don't want him to change anything. Just be able to look up and answer the phone and say, your shipping order number is so and so. It's already shipped on that date and time. That's it, and no change. That's all you need. So for customer service in a certain area, that's all you need to do. Okay, so that's cool, right? You saw that in fact shipping order is now available to Tim. See right there because it's green. If I turn it red, what do you expect it to happen? It's gonna go disappear off the menu. To answer your question about not having option to maintain, he doesn't have option to go into that. So that's security. That's a good feature for company using this kind of software to protect sensitive data, but still share the necessary information across the board. Now, let's go back to another feature that we talked about within the edit screen. Let's say customer. Tim has access to customer screen. He has access to control manufacturing. That's the same account that we saw earlier, right? Now, let's say we go in. He doesn't have access to financial information because admin did not give him the right to have access to financial information. Maybe it's sensitive. He doesn't need to have that information to do his job. You know, if he's in production, all he needs to know is where to ship this part to, who to call, but not necessarily how much they owe or whatever. Or changing the terms. That's important because you don't want to change customer term without authorization. So we take security, audit trail very, very seriously within our application. So that's how you control it. But if you want him to have access to it, this is how you do it. You go and see by module ID. Again, if you know the module, you can narrow it down, whether it's customer, job order, shipping, GL. You narrow it down to that area and find it. So in this case, it's customer financial. He doesn't have access to it. I'm going to give him access. Green. If you, let's say this is under Tim's account. If I get out of it and I go back in, financial information is now available to him. And you may give him that temporarily so he can go in there and look at it, but then you can just take it out again by changing this to red, and he will not be able to see it. There's no financial information. Let me demonstrate the password require feature, which, for example, let me see, typically relate to a report. Let's say print list report. Okay, right here. If you want to print the customer list, You don't want anyone to print the customer list. So you're going to say, okay, you can print it, but you have to put in password each time you print. So let's say if Tim logs in, he leaves the screen on, and someone else like Nick to come and say, oh, Tim has access. Let me print this list quickly, right? Well, now if we click on this, he doesn't have access to print. List report, maybe. I'm not sure what the module ID is. Look up customer lookup print list report. Okay. Just keep in mind, sometimes the module ID in the newer version we change the module ID naming a little bit to reflect the newer name. So the list may include older module ID. Maybe I can't show you how it works, but the intention is really if you click on print, I think that's the module ID. Oh, this one doesn't have access. Okay. Um, print list. Log, yeah. Print list. I should check that right away. Say if I denied access to it, let's say. Let's see what we do here. Customer. Yeah, there's no access. Yeah. Or print. See, that's it blocked out. I don't have a good example to show you, but the idea is that you set the password. It's supposed to prompt you for the password. Uh, okay, so that concludes the security setting for a typical um, admin and non-admin user, with the idea of being able to share uh, profiles. Okay, let me save this first. Let me save this session.